Hey everyone, thanks so much for visiting my channel today. My name is Randy Ahmad. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm here to take all the mystery out of anything regarding owning and buying a home here in the Tampa Bay area. So please don't forget to hit that like button down below and subscribe to my channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's caused, I get a lot of questions about this, especially for people who are moving to Florida, and that is CDD fees. What the heck is a CDD? Right? What are those? Well, don't worry. We're by the end of this video, you're going to be a CDD fees pro. So first things, CDD stands for Community Development District, and in a nutshell, these are special governing entities established by Florida. They started as developers, right, to finance and manage the infrastructure of a new community. In a nutshell, that's all it is. Now, when a developer goes into this new community, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be built, right? We're talking roads, we're talking utilities, we're talking recreational facilities. All of this stuff needs to be funded. And instead of the developer paying for it out of pocket, remember, these expenses are massive, right? So developers came up with a clever idea. So instead of them paying for it up front, they thought, hey, why not spread the cost of all of this over a long period of time? So what did they do? They started issuing municipal bonds through a CDD. Now these bonds are going to cover the cost of building all the infrastructure that you see. But here's the thing, those bonds are paid back with interest. And that's where all the fees start to come in. So homeowners living in a CDD are responsible for paying those fees annually. And again, it goes back to repaying that bond and maintaining the community's infrastructure. So essentially, CDD fees are your share of cost for the perks and convenience of living in a well-developed, amenity-rich community. So that was the basic idea of CDD fees and how they came about. But we haven't even scratched the surface just yet, so please stick with me till the end here. We're going to get into nitty-gritty details of CDD fees. Now that we know what CDD fees are, let's take a step back a little bit and just see how it all began. So the story of CDD in Florida starts way back in the 1980s. The state was growing really fast. Developers were in a race to build communities to accommodate all the influx of people who are moving to Florida. Now, building the communities was super expensive. Developers needed a way to fund all of that, right, without breaking the bank, so to speak. And then enter the Florida legislature. So in 1980, they passed the Uniform Community Development District Act, which essentially gave developers the green light to create CDDs. This act opened the door for developers to finance community infrastructure through the issuing of bonds, which are repaid by you, the homeowner, over a period of time, right, through annual CDD fees. So essentially, the birth of CDDs here in Florida was just a creative solution to a big financial problem. It allowed for faster, more efficient community development, and it made it possible for developers to build the kind of amenity-rich communities that make Florida living so unique. All right, so just like your favorite superhero movie, right? CDDs come with their own set of superpowers and, a little bit of kryptonite too. So let's talk about the pros and cons of living in a CDD community. On the upside, CDDs can offer some pretty cool benefits, right? One, you get to live in a well-planned, amenity-rich community from the get-go. Think beautiful parks, glistening swimming pools, sports facilities, community centers. All of these amenities really enhance your Florida living experience. Two, because the cost of infrastructure is spread over a period of time, usually 20, 30 years, the initial price of your home is a little bit more affordable. It's not an upfront cost, right? So for those of you dreaming of a brand new home, this could be a game changer. Now, it's not all sunshine and oranges, so to speak. So there is a flip side to this. So CDD fees are an extra expense on top of your already property taxes, and possibly even HOA fees, right? So these fees can run into the thousands of dollars annually, so it's something that you definitely need to budget for. Two, selling your home could be a little bit more challenging. Why? Well, think about it. Some buyers might be turned off by the additional CDD fee. Remember, the fees are attached to the property and not the individual, and not the property owner, right? So they last a very long time. Again, like I said earlier, it's usually between 20 and 30 years. So just make sure that the decision to live in a CDD community really depends on what you value most. Do you dream of a community with great amenities, or is budget your top priority, right? Remember that, honestly, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just more about what it is that works best for you and your family. So let's take a look at CDDs versus HOAs. And incidentally, there's a video for the HOA that you might want to check out as well. So CDDs and HOAs are just two different ways of managing and funding a community resources and amenities. Let's talk about the key distinctions here. CDDs and HOAs, they're created for different purposes. The CDD we already talked about, right? It's a governmental entity created to finance and manage the large-scale infrastructure of a community. Things like roads, utilities, and maybe even schools. HOAs, on the flip side, on the other hand, they're private associations that homeowners join, and they join when they buy a property in a specific community. HOAs manage and maintain community assets like parks, swimming pools, and the clubhouses. And this is where it gets kind of finicky, right? They set and enforce community standards through what's known as covenants, conditions, and restrictions. And you're going to see it, if you buy into a community, you're going to see this document, CC&Rs, or covenants and restrictions, we call for short. On the financing side with a CDD, you're typically paying a fee to repay the bond used to build that community infrastructure. And this fee is, again, although you pay it with your tax bill, but it is separate on your tax bill. So you'll see a separate line item for it on your tax bill. HOA fees on the other hand are used for the maintenance and management of the community assets, and again for enforcing the HOA rules. And these fees are usually paid monthly, quarterly, or annually directly to the HOA. So which is better? Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. It just depends on your perspective. HOA offers more day-to-day control over community standards. CDDs could provide better long-term planning for major community infrastructure. But remember, it's not always either or, right? In many Florida communities, you'll find that both a CDD and a HOA both are playing a part in the community in where you want to live. Okay, now in this section, we're going to talk about how CDD fees are paid. And we already touched on this, right? The CDD fees are paid as a separate line item on your tax bill. You're paying your tax bill in full, right? But a part of a line item is a CDD fee. These fees typically last 20 to 30 years, which is the length of time that it takes to pay off the bonds. Now, once the bonds are paid off, the CDD may still collect a smaller fee for the ongoing maintenance of the community infrastructure. So it doesn't necessarily go away, so to speak, because you are paying to maintain it. So if you're considering buying into a CDD community, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. One, you want to make sure that you understand the full cost going in, right? That doesn't mean just your mortgage. That it includes your property taxes, CDD fees, possibly HOA fees. Are there any other assessments that you need to be aware of? Two, you want to make sure that you do your homework. Review the CDD manual and budget. They're made publicly, okay? Look at and see what these fees are paid for, right? You want to make sure what's the health like of this CDD fee. You want to make sure that because they had a shortfall one year, that you're not walking into assessment year, right, where they're charging you more money. And then three, more importantly, you want to consider all the benefits. Yes, the fees are an extra cost, but remember what they pay for, right? A well-planned community, you're going to have great amenities and infrastructure. All right, we're close to the finish line, but just a little bit more to cover. So we're going to cover FAQs, frequently asked questions, as it pertains to CDD fees. So question one, can you opt out of a CDD? The short answer is honestly no. If your property is in a CDD community, the fee is non-negotiable. Remember, these fees are attached to the property and not the owner. Question two, can CDD fees increase? Unfortunately, yeah, they can. And that amount is usually set when the CDD is established, but it can be adjusted, right? That said, any increase has to be approved by the CDD's board and then justified by an increase in cost. Question three, do all Florida communities have CDDs? No. CDDs are, although they're common in Florida, especially in the newer developments, but not all communities have them. It's just one of many tools that developers can use to finance the community infrastructure. All right, now we've come to the end of the road here. I hope this clears up some mystery surrounding CDDs. I know it's a lot to take in, so if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get back to you. A quick recap. We've talked about what CDDs are, where they came from, the pros and cons of CDDs, how they compare to HOAs, and then even tackled a few FAQs. So just remember that when it comes to buying a home in Florida, being informed is your superpower. I hope that this video has given you some useful insights into CDDs and helps you make the best decision for you and your family. If you, again, I want to ask you, if you found this video helpful, please help share it with a friend who's also navigating the Florida real estate market. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button below, subscribe to my channel, and click that notification bell so that you don't miss future content like this. Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep those questions coming, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.